So I always like to make this adage, it's like the whole see one, do one, teach one principle. I'm sure you're familiar when you got your licenses and stuff, is that, you're going to go out, you're going to, this instructor is going to show you the maneuver you're going to go do. Then you're going to go do it, perform it to standard, and then you're going to teach it back, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to accelerate that C1 piece. So if you could see the stall buffet demo 20, 30 times and how to set it up and what it looks like before you even get to the flight event, you're already going to be a step ahead.
How is it going, everybody? Welcome to the Aviation Business Podcast. I am your host, Tim Jedrek. I'm part of a company called Rudder Marketing. They are the ones that are hosting this wonderful podcast. So today, it is April 20th, 2026. We're super excited to have you guys on here today. As you know, what we do here in the Aviation Business Podcast, we have people join us and we have a wonderful conversation. These are aviation business leaders, vendors, flight schools, and we help them, we help kind of give a platform for them to talk and, just have a conversation about aviation. So if you are if you're in the aviation industry, flight training industry, you'd like to be on this podcast, I highly recommend checking out Rudder Marketing and our podcast. You can go give us a call if you want to be a guest, 314-804-1200. Also check out our website, rightruddermarketing.com. Also check out, if you want to send us a direct message, info@rightruddermarketing.com. That goes to our inbox. And yeah, have a conversation, get on the podcast. We'd love to have you on. So we have a special guest today. His name is Scott. I like to always reserve the introduction for our guest himself. So without further ado, let's welcome Scott onto the show. Woo!
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. I'm Scott Angelo, co-founder and chief revenue officer for UpskillAir. We're a knowledge transfer SaaS company based in the National Capital Region.
Awesome, man. So yeah, let's go into your bio. Let's talk about how you got involved, what you do. What got you into aviation to begin with?
Have you ever seen a movie called Top Gun? Uh,
The old one or the new one?
the original, the OG.
Oh, the OG. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So I went to University of Maryland on an NROTC scholarship and was commissioned to the Navy. And I always had aviation as kind of like always playing in the background in my life. So I had subscription to Air and Space magazine. Always went to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. So it was always kind of like a calling. I was fortunate enough to, like I said, go to University of Maryland and awarded an NROTC scholarship. And when you're there, you're a midshipman. They make sure you see all the warfare specialties you can go into, whether it's driving ships or driving submarines, going into Marine Corps or aviation. And my first summer, I got a ride in a T-34 and really never looked back. It was a great experience, and did a first class cruise. Got to fly in an F-14 back in the day. And so was able to took the ASTB, got enough good grades, and was able to go to flight school after that. So, and I've never looked back since. I've been flying for about 25 years.
Awesome, man. So a lot of military Navy experience. I see something in your background over there. That's like a certificate, or that's your first airplane that you flew in the Navy.
Oh no, those are those are you get those for every squadron you're at. So it's goes on your I love me wall. My wall is very small. My wife will let me have an entire wall. That one's VX-30. That was my test and evaluation tour. So we flew test and evaluation, doing weapons test development for for big programs of record. So we actually used to go up and film the NASA shuttles launches and SpaceX, chase Tomahawks, range clearing, all kinds of fun stuff. But I flew the P-3 and the C-130 there. I even got to fly in the S-3 a little bit too.
Pretty cool. So you were in the Navy for 20 years? How many years were you in the Navy?
Yeah, I just retired recently. Retired in September after 20 years. Just right at Naval Air Facility, Washington, D.C. I live in Annapolis now.
Oh, wow. You did the full 20. Some people don't last that long. So you got the full 20 and everything. There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. Yeah.
You're set
Yeah.
for life. So you did the Navy, you just retired, and then now you're doing. Before you went to UpskillAir, you're also in airlines. You did airline work, or is that
Oh yeah, so I'm currently airline pilot. So I fly first office for United, flying the 7-3 out of Newark, which is the drive from Annapolis, Maryland. But yeah, so I retired. We started Upskill Air a couple years ago. I was working on it when I was on active duty on nights and weekends, and then I retired from the military. Did a little Part 91 flying for a little bit through Jet Aviation, flying the Gulfstream. And then once I got a training date, classed up at United in September, and I've been on the 7-3 for a couple months now.
couple months? Okay, well, congratulations, sir.
Yeah,
So, how did you go
thank you.
from? I guess you went from military, you retired. That makes sense. Then you went to you kind of did both. It kind of everything kind of meshed all together around retirement age, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
went
It was
from.
just
I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So it kind of goes back, our origin story. I've been Raja, Krish, our CEO, and the other co-founder. We've been friends for over 20 years. Both went to Maryland together. He was an aerospace engineer, and yeah, I did my MBA back in the mid-teens, and I kind of caught the entrepreneurship bug. And he and I were always, coming up with different ideas. And he was working on this project for a company called Symbotic, and he developed the original version of this software. And so he demoed it to me back in, I think it was 2002, 2003. And I remember I was sitting on a C-130 waiting to go do an instrument check, and something was broken. And I'm sitting on the couch in the back and just watching four technicians with the open circuit breaker panel trying to interpolate a wiring diagram. And it was like, that was my aha moment. I was like, this is what we need Upskill Air for. This is how we accelerate learning and just accelerate learning outcomes. And so went back, spoke with Raja like that afternoon, and we started the ideating and on transforming his original product into Upskill Air and what it is today.
Oh, that's pretty
So
cool.
to answer your question, I was working on both at the same time, but it's more just like the opportunity just was there sitting right in front of me, and we just started moving along with it.
Okay. So, we didn't really get into what Upskill Air is yet, and we'll get into that pretty soon. Um, but it's you, Roger. There's a whole team of it, and then you kind of, I guess, you were in the Navy, and then you kind of in the middle of it, you're getting your MBA, and then you also saw the opportunity, for a product or a service. And that's kind of how Upskill Air had it. And you had already kind of been in contact with Raja, which the other co-founder, right, of Upskill Air.
Yes.
There's another one of you guys. There's three of you guys total, or
Oh, it's just Raj and I.
Raja and you. Okay, Raja.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So you two, then yeah, then you saw them kind of going through the wiring diagram. So kind of explain, we want to have first off just a normal conversation, but two, it's also an opportunity to kind of promote your work. That's one of the reasons why you're on the show. So we kind of want to learn a little bit more on what Upskill Air is and what you guys do there, and how does that relate to your kind of envision when you were on that C-130 in the back, looking at these technicians and they're going through these wiring schematics. How does all that tie in together into what Upskill Air is and the product that was developed afterwards?
Yeah, so it was so originally, it's a micro learning platform. So micro learning is using we take neuroscience, operations management, and technology and put it together in one organic and deployable mobile application that helps accelerate learning outcomes. So we take a lot of these principles, put them together in the application, and it essentially is, as we like to use the analogy, we are the missile, and the training is the warhead. So we're agnostic to the training that's going on the platform, but we provide a better platform for learning outcomes for the students. If you look at any revolutions, right? You have the agricultural revolution, industrial revolution. We are in between the information technology revolution and the AI and robotics revolution. So that's where we are right now. And training has never really progressed with the speed of technology, and so that's where we come in. We're trying to help apply just smart, curated learning systems to education, and specifically in aviation, the aviation industry. So not necessarily for just only flight instruction, but for aviation maintenance, all the ancillary and supporting jobs as well.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, like, who is your we call it like avatar. So in the marketing world, we call it avatar. I guess another way you can say is your target customer, um, your ideal customer. So like, are you? So you mentioned there's multiple people. It's not just school students per se. Maybe aviation maintenance. Who are you actually aiming this product towards, and who should be, I guess, listening?
I mean, everyone should listen. So, I mean, everyone needs to learn. So, we kind of bridge the gap for, from long form training into actually into doing. So we have, there's on the job training, and, people can't sacrifice giving up their best instructors or their best technicians to go be pulled away from the job to go train somebody. And long
Mhm.
form training, it has its limitations. You go, and that's just where education has been, over the last, 20 years, education's changed a lot, with, going to asynchronous learning, synchronous learning, with, everything moving into the internet, digital books, things like that. But, we still have long form training, and, people forget after a while, it's that long form training, if you look at 6 months later, people only retain about 20% of that knowledge that they learn in the long form training. And so we're trying to bridge the gap, helping to boost that retention, so people can actually be proficient in what they're doing. So there's a lot of neuroscience behind it, and how we do it and how we approach it. But that's the overall goal. And so our avatar, the customers we're looking for is people, the people in the industry who are looking to modernize their training and to keep up with the pace of technology, and sure enough, they're not going to get left behind. So we're trying to help provide the best value to the customer, who's going to be the flight students, or the mechanics under training, any of those people. How do we help them learn better, become proficient, and then can move out and actually go do their jobs?
You mentioned that there was some psychology stuff in there as far as how you develop the program to really engineer and make efficient the learning process. What parts of that was inspired by maybe your Navy career, maybe some exposure to airlines, or just in general pilot training? What elements did you kind of factor in when you were developing this product?
I think some of the frictions that we have is that it's kind of scattered, right? You go to
Mhm.
flight school, you go to some kind of training. You're going to have your books are in one application. You're going to have PowerPoints here. You're going to have these things over here. Like you're going to have your syllabus. You're going to get ready for your brief. Like, all right, now I need to go look. Now I need to go find all these 10 briefing items and all these different documents, cross reference them. So like that was one of the pain points I always frustrated me. So we're trying to help curate that to be like a syllabus where people are where the syllabus being provided to them, where they can actually everything is linked, intuitive. Just like when you pick up your phone and how to use your phone and navigate. That's what a syllabus should be like. It shouldn't be just a roadmap.
Mhm.
For episodic training, it should be continuous training throughout. And that's where we see like there's a gap where you go from flight event to flight event. Long form you go from your ground school to your first block of training, flight event. But there's a lot of space in between, and that's where people really need to maximize how the learning where learning is occurring. So, and that's what we're trying to get after. So there's a lot of neuroscience behind it, but that was the one thing that I helped bring to the table, was like just the frustration of going through a lot of different applications. And like I mentioned earlier with the revolutions, between the IT revolution and the AI robotics revolution, there's to quote this guy, I went to this innovation course at the Naval Postgraduate School, Paul Voss. He's actually a English literature professor teaching innovation. And
Okay.
it was such a cool thing. And I took like 15 pages of the notes. But one thing he said rang out was, we live in a tyranny of legacy systems where, you go to any flight school, they're running 15 to 20 different programs just to make their flight school run. Same thing with the training in the training space as well, is that there's just everything is federated and not comprehensive. So that's one thing we got after. And we have our cadre of pilots and people helping us develop the application are like the best of the best. FRS instructors, from the Navy, Top Gun instructors. We've got people with masters in education, all contributing. We have a scientist helping us out as well to kind of give us that neuroscience piece. So taking all those facets and trying to make the best product for the consumer.
I realized you mentioned a couple of things there. So you said like short form versus long form. You also on my briefing, just going over in my research, looking at UpskillAir, there's a thing called mBytes as well.
Yeah.
Can you explain what mBytes are, and then also like short form versus long form, and then techniques for learning as well?
Yeah. So the mBytes, that's just our. I don't even know if it's trademark yet. So don't go running to the patent trademark office with that. Yeah.
Sure.
But that's just our name for our short form video.
Short
Now,
form, but
yeah. So if you look at, I'm sure if you opened up your phone right now, you probably got Instagram, TikTok, Reels, all these things on there. You know what I mean?
uh
So Silicon Valley did their due diligence and figured out what really captures people attention. And it's the short form video, right? So
right,
using that and it's, you're getting that dopamine hit, you're you're intaking that whatever the information that's being put in front of you. So we kind of leverage that into using that short form video. So the short form, it's and if you look at attention spans, like we're in a generational shift where people are now like, I'm an elder millennial, and now we're going to Gen Z and Gen Alpha soon coming up, and like they learn differently, right? People have grown up in the digital age, and there's a significant difference there. So the short form video align with your technical publication. It's just the best way, where you can see something side by side quickly in, less than 30 to 90 seconds. It's either that or like death by PowerPoint, or sitting in a 45-minute brief. You can't, people's attention can't be focused or captured for that long. So that's where we try and help bring in that neuroscience piece. And then there's other pieces of it too, like spaced repetition, where you, you know, you if you're looking at a book, right, and you're studying from a book and you're using rote memorization to prepare for the next block, which is your test. Again, going back to the episodic learning, I have to prepare for this test. I have to pass this test to go to the next stage. So that's not going into your long term memory. It's just rote memorization where you're learning it for the purpose of getting through the test, so then you can go and work on the next thing, right? And those are those building blocks, and that's what we're trying to change. Like, how do you recall things? How do you learn? Because if you look at a book and it looks familiar, there is an illusion of competency where you think you know what you're looking at, but you actually don't understand it. It just looks familiar to you, and we've all done that. We memorize things, we go do it, and then we brain dump it. So we use spaced repetition. So learning pieces of it, chunking it up into smaller bites, like mBytes, and repeating them, challenging. So science shows that if you're challenged immediately after learning something, that you have a better chance of recalling, even if you get the correct answer wrong. It's just seeing the right answer again helps reinforce those neural pathways and transform those short-term memories to long-term memories.
right. There's a thing different. There's a difference between recognition and then like constructive recall.
Yeah.
So so for me, and you brought up a really hot keyword that I like a lot. So spaced repetition is something that you mentioned. There's a lot of, if you go into like pedagogy, which is like the art of teaching, or even like learning on techniques, there's there's a lot of publications on this, actually, like scientific publications on SRS systems. So SRS is the spaced repetition system, and I know this pretty well and dear. I used it pretty well in my private training, actually, a little bit of instrument. um there's a lot of like technical stuff that you have to memorize, and I knew about SRS because of language learning. So I lived in Japan for about a year, and I wanted to learn a second language. So one of the things, if you start going on the internet, like, how do I learn a second language, how do I learn Spanish, how do I learn Portuguese, whatever, how do I learn Japanese, something that's going to pop up in your search is SRS, and more particularly an application called Anki. So Anki is an app that you can use on your phone or computer, and it basically gives you a flashcard or a prompt, and then you have to answer that prompt. And then if you get it right, it will then log it as correct, but then it will re-show that same question depending on your interval. Maybe a day, maybe 3 days. If you keep getting, let's say it's the first time you see the card, it will then, the first day you get it right, it will show it again tomorrow. You get it right
Mhm.
again tomorrow, it will then show it let's say in 3 days. And then let's say in 3 days you try it again, and you get it right again, it'll show in a week. Then you try it again in a week, you get it right one more time, it will go to a whole month or a whole year or whatever. Then because it's already been solidified in your short term and long term memory. Now, if you get it wrong, it's go back to the learning phase, and it shows the card over and over again until you relearn it. So,
Yep.
I'm assuming that's kind of what you're talking about with UpskillAir. Is that correct? So, how do you guys implement the SRS algorithm stuff in UpskillAir?
We really haven't crossed that bridge yet. We're really working like really on the basics right now and working on the learning, like the learning engineering.
Mhm.
That is the next revolution in learning. We've gone, like I said earlier, things have moved to digital, moved to the internet. And now we're going to learning engineering where you can actually build that. I guess I was more familiar with like Duolingo. I think they do pretty much the same
Duolingo does the same thing
kind
too.
of
So Duolingo does, yeah,
SPS
it
type
does
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it cycles through,
Yeah.
right?
And so that's where we're ultimately we're getting there in our development. But right now, we're focusing just really on helping to chunk down the learning, focus on the attention span, making things easily retrievable, the challenging piece of it, and then ultimately we're working on building that into in those algorithms into the application as well. So and then obviously that'll be, whoever's hosting their training, we would have to work with them to develop that kind of, algorithm where it's going to be learning with you.
Hmm. The I guess for upskill air, it's more focused. It's focused on aviation. But it's also it's maintenance stuff. It's also student pilot stuff. So let's do one at a time. Let's do student pilot stuff. So what's one of the hardest things that I guess a student pilot has to really learn in order to like be proficient and competent in their piloting skills that you guys address at Upskill Air?
So like I said, we're just software as a service, but so we're focused on the providing the helping the flight schools or the training organization host their content and in a better way for the students to learn. So I always like to make this adage, it's like the whole see one, do one, teach one principle. I'm sure you're familiar when you got your licenses and stuff.
Mhm.
Is that you're going to go out, you're going to the instructor is going to show you the maneuver you're going to go do, then you're going to go do it, perform it to standard, and then you're going to teach it back, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to accelerate that C1 piece. So if you could see the stall buffet demo 20, 30 times and how to set it up and what it looks like, what right looks like before you even get to the flight event, you're already going to be a step ahead. You're going to help accelerate the learning outcomes because then you can focus on the repetition of actually doing it and teaching it back. So we're kind of like we are accelerating those pieces of it where they can see what they're going to go do, they can learn about what they need to go do, and then it also gives it relevance too. So if you're reading about a setting up for a stall buffet demo in your manual or your training instruction,
PRH? Okay.
yeah, your training instruction. Like, this is how I'm going to set up for it. These are the steps. There's no context to it. So, but we attach that short form video next to it, so it's side by side. That they can see the setup, and then they can move step by step in a sequential way where it's daisy chain. They can see every step, and then they're more prepared and better prepared once they get to the flight brief and go out to the event. So that's what we're really providing for the students.
Got it. So it's the software that allows I guess the school to kind of customize the learning curriculum, the syllabus. So there's a lot of things that are kind of shared though. So you mentioned, let's say stalls, doing a stall. So, you got to slow the plane down or to power on, power off stall, whatever it is. Certain configurations, flap settings, whatever. Then you pull back, pew, right? Um, are you putting I guess who generates the content? So the system that you guys are building is where they have, a short form mByte content, a video, right? And then they have, I guess, kind of a technical summary or details of like what the procedure is. So let's say it's even changing a light bulb. Okay, so here's take the light bulb out. Put the light bulb in. There's I guess procedure steps that are below that. And I remember kind of doing a demo with you um, at Fasana a few months ago, and you were able to kind of, I think as the video went on, it kind of highlighted like what specific points are there in the procedure. Now, I guess my question is, do you guys, is it the video content? So for, a stall, for example, it's like, every school can use that video for doing a stall. For the most part, if they're flying a 172 N model or P model, here, this is the procedure for this specific type of plane, right? I mean, there's, 1,000, 2,000 schools in America. How many of them are operating the same type of aircraft? My question is, who's generating the content? Is it the school themselves, or is there a shared
This,
repository where people can
we do
pull from?
have We do have a shared. We do have a repository of some of that stuff, but really, ideally, you want your best to train the rest. You want your chief pilot to be the standard bearer for your organization, and so that chief pilot should be teaching all of his instructors the same way, and the all instructors should be teaching all the students the same way. So that's our moniker, is the best train the rest, and it's really not that. It's really not that a big barrier to overcome. It's just filming it. It doesn't take very long. We were actually just onboarding one of our customers a couple weeks ago, and we'll come out. We show them exactly how to do it. Proper camera placement, how you do it, how you upload it, and then they're off to the races. So we teach our customers how to fish. And then they can go fish. And to filming the PPL, or any of the syllabi or any of the maneuvers and stuff, it really does not take that long. We actually will teach the instructors on how to instruct. Like I said, we have a really great cadre of former, FRS instructors and Top Gun instructors. Who know how to instruct other people in instructing. So we actually will give them tips and tricks and how to do that as well. So, but ideally, the customer would film their own content because it's like, it's their brand. It's their training. They're the ones who are getting certified by the FAA. So we help them show them how to do it and how to upload it, and it's over to them. But it's really not that much of an investment to do it once. Have your best instructor, your CFI, and film everything, and it's easily you can disseminate it out to your entire cadre very quickly. And that was the other thing too. Is like, good thing with short form video is like, if you have a long video and you want to change a piece of it, you got to change the whole thing, right? So so it makes it a lot easier to update, more iterative.
Iterative, yeah. Curious here. So this is we're on the Riverside platform. And by the way, if you're listening to this live, feel free to ask questions. There is a button on the right side for chat. We have about 9-10 people on the stream with us right now. If you're watching this afterwards on YouTube or Spotify or listening, send us an email of questions if you have anything for Scott. Let's go back to kind of the your history and how you got involved, right? So going from Navy and then mixing in airlines and entrepreneurship, kind of what I'm a business owner myself and a pilot, so being a business owner is not really, I want to say, easy. I mean, it can be easy. So there's definitely some challenges with starting a business and going into like walk us through kind of your mental state, as you're deliberating, you're nearing retirement with the Navy. There's a lot of things, and I have my own personal story for Rudder, whenever I started the company, but I'm sure you have your own type of building up story to like, how did we start this company? So I know you talked a little bit about the inspiration from you were doing the mechanic stuff, but like, what kind of pushed you to the edge where like, hey, I really got to start this business? Like what kind of got you there?
So I think, much like I mentioned earlier, I did my MBA and, about a decade ago. And I think one of the best courses I took was an entrepreneurship course. And it was something that stuck with me was, the instructor, like on day one, he said, he's like, some of you guys, most of you guys are going to go become consultants. He's like, but one or two of you guys are going to go start your own business and do something great. And you're going to be the ones who are going to donate back to the school. He's like, everyone else is going to be a consultant. And so it was like, that really stood out to me. I was like, and then as I was approaching, like I said, the entrepreneurship bug was already, I always had that. And Raja and I were always, talking about different ideas. And some of them were in the aviation industry. And because he is an aerospace engineer by trade, and I had the pilot stuff. And so we were always, collaborating and trying to find the right opportunity. And as I was nearing retirement, it was really kind of a lot of soul searching, figuring out what you really want to do. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of guys become defense contractors, consultants, or go to the airlines. So,
Yeah.
it was really coming down to like, you, doing what and really taking a chance and really believing in yourself and so that's what really kind of drove us to really take the leap and do this and so doing the airline as well it is very I am very busy so I I do a lot of calls in the car on my layovers always working and then on my off days working too so there's only 2 days in the airlines. There's a work day and an off day, and the off days are work days. So for us here, so always grinding it out, trying to grow something that we're proud of.
What did so you and Raj had met prior to Upskill Air. How do you guys meet? Was it through Navy training, through military? I know he said that he's an aerospace engineer. Was it kind of you guys got connected through the Navy, or was it outside of aviation? How did you guys get to know each other?
I guess it was just kind of tangential. So one of my good friends, Darren, we did ROTC together. They were in the aerospace program together, and that's how we became friends. Was through the aerospace program. So he was an aerospace engineer. Eventually became a COD pilot, and then he left after his initial commitment. But Raj and I became friends in college through those networks.
And then, yeah, so then you guys connected, and then you started Upskill Air. So how long have you guys been in business for?
Well, we've been probably I want to say just a little over 18 months. Not 20 months. We had a minimal viable product about a year and 2 years ago.
Mhm.
We went to Oshkosh. We had a trusted agent that where we kind of helps advise us. And he's like, "This is good enough, guys. Like, go. You should just go show this at Oshkosh." So we just bought tickets to Oshkosh uh, and walked around with our tablets and started showing people, what we're building. We garnered a lot of interest, and then actually, then our first we kind of like took some feedback, iterated a little bit, and then we went to Fasana last year. That was our first like big event. So I would say really bringing the product to market was Fasana in Orlando. So Fasana 2025 was when
Uh-huh.
we really the rubber started hitting the road, and we started really investing our time and energy full time into this.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to us too. Like we at Red Rudder, I've been to Oshkosh as well, and I was trying to promote Red Rudder there. I didn't really get the best return on investment for what we paid to go to Oshkosh. It's quite
Yeah,
expensive. So I don't know. During the Oshkosh week, all your hotels and all your Airbnbs are booked out. $1,000 a night to whatever. I ended up camping. I camped for a couple of days, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. But yeah, I was like, no, my target market's aviation businesses, so flight schools in particular. A little bit of the maintenance side, a little bit of FBO stuff too as well, and 135s. But for the most part, 90% or higher is flight schools. And I just didn't get much return on Oshkosh. So it's interesting that you say that you said that, what do you call it? That Fasana was kind of your biggest break into it. So you were in there last year, and you came again. I guess this year we're in 2026 now.
yep,
Wow, time
yep.
time flies, man.
Yeah, I
Time
know.
flies so much. What other shows are you doing on for the rest of the year? Just curious.
So we had we're doing Fasana, we're doing Aero Summit
Arizona,
in May.
Miami,
What's that? Yeah, Miami. Yep.
Miami. All right,
Yeah,
we'll see you
yeah,
there,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Well, so we're going there. And then we're going to Watts. We're just going for a
Okay,
day or two
Watson.
at Watts in next was that next that's 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks from now. We'll probably hit up EATS as well. That was really productive for us last year. And
Yeah, it's
then
Eats like the East Asian or
it's the
training s- European, yeah,
European
European one. All right.
Aviation Training Symposium.
Yeah,
And then we may go to APAT as well, the Asian
APAT. Okay, that's the
Pacific.
other one. Yeah, Asian Pacific one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might go to that one. Probably or I on that one too. So I think those are like the big ones. And then being in the NCR, there's a really lot of great opportunities too. So we head up. We're actually gonna tomorrow. I'm going to see Air and Space. We're not exhibiting, but it's a really good opportunity to go network
Mhm.
and just go see people in the industry.
Yeah, I haven't been to Watts yet, but my good friend, I think is Muharrem from Plain English had invited
Yep.
me a few times to go there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'll go. A lot of it's when I was looking at the registration list, it was mostly airlines I saw, so
Yeah.
it wasn't my target market, but I did see that Eats and APAT. I think APAT is what it's called. That one had more ab initio programs. So probably no, I don't know, maybe this year or next year, but we might be going to Eats or APAT, just so we can break into the international, market. We do
Yeah.
have a few flight
Eats
schools.
Eats is
Sorry.
great. I think they call it EATS, but yeah, but it was a great one. Roger went last year. It was in Portugal. He had a great time.
Yeah,
But it was
I was about to go there too. Actually, Portugal sounded nice. I think it's Lisbon, right? That's pretty sick.
yeah, it's in Lisbon. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we do have a question from the audience here. So wonderful question. So Randy over here, he's one of our flight schools. He's at Pitcairn Flight Academy. They're wondering if UpskillAir is subscription based or is there a price scale? How does it work? So let's talk about your offer. So if your target market is really flight schools, aviation, maintenance programs. You're looking to try to help the student pilots and also the people working on the planes. Um, how does I guess, if you were to work with, let's say, a maintenance repair station or a flight school, how does the offer kind of set up?
It depends, right? It's
There's no price. You don't call me. I'm
uh,
just kidding.
generally, as a rule of thumb, like we start out at $20 per user per month. That's for our flagship mBytes platform. That's the mobile application. We also have a paired LMS as well,
Mhm.
which was intentionally designed for aviation use cases as well. And that those together are roughly $30 per person per month per seat. Now, as the schools grow, we do offer enterprise solutions as well. So lower price point, more students, lower price point, and we'll negotiate that with the customers as well. But roughly, that's kind of like the rule of thumb that's our sweet spot for our target. For all of our infrastructure costs, really, because everything's cloud based. Um, and then we also uh, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, but
It's
that
cloud-based.
answers that question. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
cloud-based $20 a month. Okay. Per user, is that per like staff member using it or is it per students using it? So let's say I have 100 students in my school and they
So
say,
yeah,
hey,
I now remember what I was going to say. It's per person per month. So it'll be and what we like, what the opportunity too is like it could be a cost plus for a flight school as well. So we can skin the cat a lot of different ways with the flight schools. A lot of flight schools like to package all of their software together and give that to the student. Otherwise, it could also be a pass through to the student as well. So much like a ForeFlight subscription that the student might have to pay for. So it depends how the flight school kind of runs their operations and how they charge their charge model for the students. We can work
mhm,
with the flight schools, so it could be a pass through. So it's like or it could be a revenue generator for a flight school as well. So they actually could take ours as a wholesale price and put a retail price on it and sell it, essentially as a book fee. So we actually, one of our schools, we actually have an ISBN number for it, and it's actually
oh,
sold. It's sold as a book, essentially like
oh, okay.
through a university.
Is Upschool Air is it trying to replace kind of the ground school component of flight school training? Because like for example, you
No,
have like M0A, you have Sporties, you have K
no, we're
school.
we're not. No,
Okay,
I mean, the ground school that's a mandated thing. Like we need to have, you need long form training. We are the bridge between the long form training and the doing. So
okay,
and there's a lot of space in there, like episodic training where things are just going from one episode to the other. We're trying to help transform the industry to continuous learning, so you can learn. In between, all of your events, between the long form training and any events you're going to do, sim events or flight events, and we help bridge those gaps in time.
yeah. So it's a lot of it's more on like after you do your ground school, you're doing flight training, like how to do a stall. You mentioned the stall example pretty well, but I'm assuming like all your typical maneuvers, like I don't know, steep turns, power on, power off stall, slow flight, um S turns. I'm forgetting my private pilot stuff already. S turns, turn
Yeah.
around to point. I guess so. All these things would be you'd have the school generate the content, and then through your software, you'd be able to then give the student in bite-sized pieces to the student. Is this to sum
Yes.
up?
Yeah, and actually, what I can do actually while we were talking, I actually did find the demo if you want to see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's pull it up. Yeah, so you have that button on
yeah,
the bottom, rather. There's a share button
yep.
for Scott for the post. If you're listening on here, by the way, we had some questions. By the way, you have a lovely friend of yours, Corey Parker 3709 says you sound smart. But yeah, if you are on, if you're listening, if you're hanging out here with us, there's about 10 people here. Yeah, feel free to drop a question in the chat. Then join the conversation. We'd love to have you.
UpskillAir is a micro-learning platform intentionally designed by an expert team of flight instructors and aviation professionals using neuroscience to increase standardization, improve student access to expert instruction, and enhance learning outcomes for flight students. UpskillAir allows users to create custom training videos called mBytes. mBytes are short, focused videos, typically 1 to 3 minutes long, that focus on a specific task, procedure, or maneuver. They're recorded by your organization's experts and then organized into playlists and flows and delivered to your students via mobile device. The home screen of the app displays your organization's mBytes, separated into flows and playlists. You can also select the playlist buttons, which will show you the playlists organized in a list form. The next button is Categories, where you can sort both videos and documents into categories. The fourth button is a list format of all the videos and documents that are uploaded to your organization's instance of the app. Finally, there is a search function that allows users to search via keywords and ultimately find any information they need in under 10 seconds.
You're doing a good job. Yeah, it was a pretty good demo. Yeah, so it looks like you're able to put. I like the AI feature. Just kind of sprinkle some AI here.
Yeah, no,
Like
yeah. I mean, it's just
everything that we have, sprinkle some AI. My Facebook, hey, there's AI in there.
yeah, yeah,
I love it though. So you're able to you kind of, I guess, if you upload a POH or a manual to the platform, you're able to use the AI in order to like answer questions like what's V1 or what's VNE or something like that. You're able to
yeah.
kind of pull that in to kind of assist in learning too. So pretty cool stuff here. We are wrapping up around the last 10 minutes or so of our podcast. So I like to reserve the last 10 minutes really for you, Scott. So if you think about your target audience, what are your call to actions to them? So do you have any programs specifically targeted for flight schools or aviation maintenance shops, or as you were going over the 737, so maybe even 121 operators? What are some of the things that you want to kind of call out to them and, tell the world about?
Yeah, I mean, we're an industry solution, so we are in aviation. There's a lot of time and money spent on training, and it's a dynamic industry. It's like CFIs are going into it is a conveyor belt. Like people, are always ascending the ladder to go to the major airlines, right? So
Mhm.
and it differs a lot from the military, where somebody's on a tour for 3 years and that's what they are. They're an instructor for 3 years and they're really honing those skills. In the aviation industry, everyone's moving to the next best thing. Just
Mhm.
maybe like couple small percentage people stay in the
The one spot.
environment in one spot, right?
Yeah.
So when we spend a lot of money on time and training, we invest in aircraft, um, we invest in simulators, we invest in hardware, but we don't really invest in the process
Mhm.
of transferring that knowledge. So, just because in that knowledge transfer doesn't necessarily correlate to real world performance. So we combine the neuroscience, modern technology, deliver the training that sticks. We improve proficiency, we improve standardization throughout all the organizations. So it's built by pilots and engineers and operators. We've lived the problem. We've know the friction points, and we're trying to make things better. So if people are responsible for training and you really want to modernize and help grow and scale, then this is what UpskillAir is going to help provide your organization. And it doesn't have to be pilot training. It can be it could be maintenance. It could be UAVs. It could be anything. It's just how do we get that knowledge transfer from your best to disseminate to your entire organization. and help modernize it. Because obviously the knowledge is going to transfer to safety, and that's the number one thing in aviation is safety. How do we do this safe?
You had, I guess Randy earlier was asking about pricing, but if there's a school or maintenance shop or anyone wants to, wants to learn more, and then maybe potentially, work with you, how do we do that?
Just go to UpskillAir.com. You can request a demo. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn, and all of our emails are info. I think it's info at UpskillAir.com. We can answer all your questions and schedule demos and whatever you need.
Cool. So yeah, if you are a flight school and you're interested in, implementing a learning program, check out UpskillAir. So that's a really cool program they have going on. It's mobile, it's on the app. They have videos, syllabus, also have AI and all that sprinkled in. Check out UpskillAir. Talk to Scott. Talk to Raja. They have a really great program over there. Any last things before we end the show here?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, it's been a wonderful time having Scott on here. We had some people on, I think, our YouTube channel, and also I think on our Riverside there asking some questions. So I really appreciate the guest participation. Like I said earlier, if you're a flight school, if you're interested in UpskillAir, check them out, UpskillAir.com. If you are a flight school and you're trying to grow and scale, and you're looking at marketing services, highly recommend Right Rudder Marketing. So Right Rudder Marketing is a marketing agency. We work with schools all across the country. We've helped them, expand their fleets, get new students. It's been quite a wonderful journey. We've been in business for 3.5 years, going 4 years. So we've been in the industry for a little bit. Wonderful people to work with. And check us out, info@rightruddermarketing.com. Also 314-804-1200 is our phone number. Check us out. So we're going to end the podcast here, but if you have any questions, make sure to send it to our email. We'll forward it along to Scott. We really, really, really appreciate Scott and UpskillAir being a guest on our Aviation Business Podcast. We'll end here and we'll see you guys in the next show. See you guys around.